And I'm Ambassador Jason.
And welcome to our corner of the internet where we have news about stuff. Jason, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing well. It was a long day at work, but finally home.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, that's my day off today, so I'm a little bit higher spirits than I would be if it was like right after tutoring a bunch of kids. So, yeah, definitely a bright side for me. But yeah, glad to hear you well, dude. So, yeah, go ahead and take us away with the Patreon plug, can do.
All right, we have a nice little Patreon page where you can get some cool perks and goodies. Like early access to shows, getting your comments, questions, and concerns read on the show, as well as exclusive content. If you'd like to support the show and get some goodies, you can do so over at patreon.com/ambassadors of gaming.
Awesome. And please do support, guys. Everything you do is appreciated. Everything that you can do is appreciated. And yeah, keep an eye on some cool content there. Anywho, let's get straight into the updates, announcements, and other miscellaneous news. So to kick us off, Jason, why don't you start us off?
Certainly. So the Final Fantasy VII Remake is getting new bosses. Director, forgive me for mispronouncing your name, Tetsuya Nomura, wrote a blog post. Trying my best. He wrote a blog post mentioning that there would be new bosses in the game to flesh out Midgard. He also mentioned that they have started working on part 2. That I haven't beaten 7. I do have it on my Switch, and I'm working through it, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. But I do like how they mentioned many months ago how they're going to have 2 different battling systems: the old school turn-based system, and then that new system they implemented.
Oh wow! So it's going to have like a flexibility for the gamers, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's going to be totally cool.
That's awesome because it's kind of giving the fans who want the throwback, giving them a piece of that, and then it's also letting newer gamers kind of jump in as well.
Awesome. Yeah, it's kind of similar what they did to Dragon Quest XI. How it has like the retro version you can play through the game as, where it's like the old school sprites, or you can play through with the newer graphics. It's really nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was going to say to keep the good news going, but the next actual update is not so great. The Pokemon Global Link service is ending. The service will end in February 24th, 2020, after which those features will no longer be available in Sun and Moon or Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Now, I think I played Sun. I definitely didn't get Moon. I believe I played Sun. But I guess it's part of the journey of a game, right? The servers eventually shut down and it's kind of what happened.
Yeah, it's nothing new. This happens every couple of years when the newer games come out. I'm assuming it costs money to run servers, and you want it's another way to push players to get the newer content if they haven't done so already. But it's essentially to save more money where needed and get people moving on to the newer stuff.
Absolutely, and it also helps that Pokemon Sword and Shield are just doing fantastic for the franchise.
Oh my god, the sale numbers are ridiculous. Like I was worried with all the nonsense and negativity the game was getting, which I think was some of it was uncalled for. I was worried about the sale figures, but this thing just blew the top off everything, man.
Man.
Everyone that complained, I'm pretty sure everyone that complained went out and bought the game as well.
Right.
Those sales figures.
They were eating their crow because the game was fantastic. The game is fantastic.
It is. I mean, and I know we spoke about this on the impressions, me, Chris, and Mike, but it's good. Yes, there are some things that are missing, but it doesn't make it a bad game at all. Exactly.
Even in spite of the things that aren't quite there, like it's meaty enough for you to enjoy it anyway. I think so. It's it's one of those games that I'm looking forward to see the content that they keep putting out for it because it's kind of arrived at the time where we have got these kind of games as a service style approaches where they release a game and then they just add content, lots more content over time. So I'm excited to kind of see how the Pokemon game evolves and what they add in, if they add new Pokemons, what they're going to add in, how it's going to change the game over time. But yeah, I mean, that's probably a nice little kind of sweet overtone to that news item there.
Yeah, definitely. So let's move on from there. We have the wonderful and amazing Steam Link controller officially dying, which, by the way, is not amazing at all. I remember years back when I saw the renders of that, I was like, this has to be a joke. They're joking. And then they actually released it. And I was like, what the hell is this? It was not good.
Doesn't it have like a mouse on like one side of it?
It's so weird. It's like a trackpad. I don't know. I've never held one. It looked ridiculous. I don't see how that was aimed towards PC gaming at all. But Valve announced that the sale for the controllers and noted that it was indeed the last batch of controllers made. I'm surprised it ran this long because it is not a good controller. I'd much rather use a 360 controller. Oh my God, what am I talking about? An Xbox One controller or a PlayStation controller or even a Switch Pro controller than use that thing on PC.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. The thing is, the Xbox controllers were already working so well in the PC kind of situation, and I can understand like developers adding even like PS4 controller support because it all depends. There's some players that are on Xbox and PC, some players that are on PlayStation and PC. So like you want to have the flexibility with your controllers, but Valve just coming in and making their own one. It's like, why are you trying to make a monopoly, dude? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like just like we buy the game on your platform. We don't want to have to. We're not going to use your controller. Like, thank you, but no thank you, kind of thing. And that's just aside from the fact that it's just an ergonomic nightmare. I mean, just looking at it makes you think like, what is going on here? I mean, like the Stadia, the Google's done a better job with the Stadia controller, in my personal opinion. It's more kind of in line with what modern console controller should look like. I mean, it's more in line with Sony's controller than Xbox, but it's still, something that you can actually hold and play and not kind of be like, what the hell am I doing here? Like a touchpad. Come on, a trackpad on a controller. Like,
I can see what they're trying to innovate there, but you got innovation and you have actual use. Like, there's no actual use. If it's not useful, there's no point to it.
Absolutely. But yeah, enough beating that dead horse, literally. There is some more news here. Facebook, the company that everyone just can't stop loving, buys Beat Saber developer. Ooh. The company announced via Oculus's site that the studio has been acquired and will be working on the game. So, yeah, this has not been... I think I've seen a few kind of news items on this, like tweets, etc., and it's not being received as well as probably Facebook was hoping it would be. I mean, they've got a bad rap anyway, and for good reason. So,
Beat Saber, that's not exclusive to the Rift right now, the Oculus, is it?
That I'm not sure of, actually.
I would hope I hope it's not exclusive, and I hope they don't make it exclusive because it's such a great game. It's a perfect VR game to get someone into VR. But it's a great game. But besides adding more tracks, there's not necessarily. I don't see anything they can do more to it. Besides licensing more music.
I mean, as of right now, it's on like HTC Vive, Oculus Rift, Solstice, Windows Mixed Reality, Microsoft Windows PC, etc. Since May 2018, and it was fully released in May 2019. And a PlayStation VR version was released in November 2018, and May 2019 it was a launch title for Oculus Quest. So, that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at it as Beat Saber itself. They bought the developers, so they're probably just going to use the developers to create new games. That's what I've said.
Oh, of course,
Taking that, I took it as they bought. Yes, they bought the developers, but I took it as they were going to mess with the game and such. But
it could be.
Hopefully they come out with some good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just wait and see. I mean, it's one of those pinch of salt situations here. Like you want to hope for the best. Because at the end of the day, the studio is probably full of like really, really talented people that know how to make good games. You just got to hope like the kind of
now they have the funding for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you want to make sure that the corporate isn't kind of taking them in a direction that's not really gelling well with their creative ambitions and stuff. So, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. All for the best.
So let's move on from there. No Man's Sky releases its 8th free update. The developer says it's to expect VR updates, such as including riding creatures and taking screenshots, and being able to drive vehicles in first person. The studio says there are over 300 tweaks and updates to the game. So be sure to check out those patch notes. Let me tell you this. I bought No Man's Sky, what was it, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago when it first came out on launch day. And boy, was I disappointed. I couldn't get the refund. It was a hot mess. And I told myself I would never touch this game ever again. I still haven't touched it, but they definitely turned that around finally and made it a really, really great game. So I do give them credit to that. They did make it into a much better game. But boy, was that release disgusting and toxic.
Right.
Like, it was insulting.
Right. Multiplayer's there when it actually isn't. You know, like all these things that will happen about. Yeah. I had a few friends who were kind of who bought the game day one, and they kind of switched off the game so quickly that they were just not interested in it. They didn't want to play it. They didn't want anything to do with it. Then when the update, I think, it was when like Inside Xbox or something, and they had like the big reveal of like what it's going to be and whatnot. And there was just something about it. I think it was a mixture of it being in third person and all these other things kind of coming in, and like it seemed like they were genuinely reinventing the game. And yeah, oh my goodness, like it's so much fun to play now. So much, like you can literally just explore.
Yeah, I might
everything.
Try it again this summer when I have some time. And I'll have time to play, so I'll put some hours into it for sure.
Yeah, definitely worth the time in my personal opinion. It's like they've checked everything. It just feels so much more cohesive. Like it feels like there's systems that work together now, rather than it being just like you're dropped in this planet and then you just kind of have to figure things out. Like it feels more directed now, which is, it might be a lot of people say games like No Man's Sky should be more open, but I think there's an element of direction that I think that makes it so much more fun now. And I think next summer, just jump right in there. And if anything, I'll play with you as well. We can have some good fun in the interplanetary space.
Sorry about that. That was my doorbell. If you heard it.
Nope.
Okay.
It's all good.
All right. Let's continue.
Yeah. Let's shift along to the next item, which is Codemasters acquiring Slightly Mad Studios. So the publisher of Dirt, Grid, F1 have acquired the studio and the rights to the Project Cars, as well as the studio's unannounced, in quotes, Hollywood blockbuster title, rumored to be a Fast and Furious game. Makes sense, because if their whole development DNA is racing games and games to that effect, especially games like Dirt and Grid, etc., then Fast and Furious game isn't that far out of their oeuvre, you know? So, so I mean, Codemasters is a good studio. I played a few of their games back in the day. Voice just cracked there, great, fantastic, 25-year-old voice cracking. but yeah, Codemasters is a good studio. Classic games, fun to play. If you're into like the racing genre, I mean, you have any kind of thoughts hither or thither on Codemasters studio?
No, I haven't particularly played any of their games that I know of. I can't think of any. I might have. I have no idea. But it's good news. New games. Always down for some new games to try.
Definitely. That's the biggest takeaway. The more new games we get, the more we enjoy them. So the more of that, the better, really, isn't it?
Definitely. Let's move on to our last bit right here. The game announcement and release. Okay, game announcements and release dates, guys. All right, so Elder Scrolls Blades for the Switch has been delayed to 2020, which is fine. I'd rather it be ready when it's ready than pushed out with bugs and other nonsense. PS Plus games for December are going to be Titanfall 2 and Monster Energy Supercross. For some reason there, I thought Titanfall 2 was an Xbox exclusive still. But it's not. I haven't played Titanfall 2, so when I see Titanfall, I associate it with just the Xbox, because that's how it used to be. Right. And now the games for Gold for Xbox for December. For Xbox One, we have Insane Robots and Jurassic World Evolution. And for the 360, we have Toy Story 3 and Castlevania Lords of Shadow, Mirror of Faith, High Definition.
Those Xbox games, I think, from like the general consensus from like people that I've seen, they're quite impressed with the Xbox offering for games of Gold, like Jurassic World, for example, Castlevania. A lot of people are kind of a lot of people that I've kind of spoken to are downloading these games, which is refreshing because the past few months I have on good authority of being pretty lackluster on the games of Gold Front. I suppose there's something for everyone anyway. Like no matter what, like there's always going to be something for different types of gamers and stuff. So
it's free. I mean, it's free games to play while you're subscribed, and there's no reason not to be subscribed. So
exactly, give it a try. Install it if you don't uninstall it. Yeah. No skin off your nose. Paying for the subscription anyway.
Exactly.
Fantastic. But anyhow, into some news for today. The first news item actually is that Battleborn is officially dead. Someone cue the sad music. So 2K publisher has announced via its site that the game will be removed from all digital store. Well, not really all digital store, but from digital storefronts. I assume it means all digital storefronts. The premium currency is being closed off after Feb 24th, 2020. That's February next year. And servers will be up until January 2021, after which the game will no longer be playable. Not just the multiplayer portion, but the entire game. So everything is just completely just shutting down, finished, finito. There's not been an announcement of a sequel, I don't think. Have you caught any wind of any announcements or anything?
No, because that game was trash. Like, I'm sorry, but they came in so hard with trying to steal the thunder from Paladins and Overwatch. They released before Overwatch, and it was just a hot mess, man. Like, the graphics looked nice, but it was too in your face. There was particle effects everywhere. There was just so much stuff going on, and then it didn't really have, like, it was trying to be like Overwatch, but it was trying to be like a MOBA with actual like lane minions and stuff. Yeah, it was like too many things at once. It couldn't like grasp what it wanted to really be. And I remember standing in GameStop with that, they played like the reels and everything, and they showed the trailer of that. I was like, I just laughed. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like this is really gonna sell. Like this looks ridiculous. And sure enough, it was. It didn't do well. It didn't launch well. That's why they went free to play, and apparently it's still not doing well.
So it was doomed from the start.
Yeah, it was. And I feel like instead of shutting it down, they just need to go back and reinvent the game. Like, they made money. They made some kind of money. Go back and fix what's wrong with it. Keep it free to play. This reminds me of what's that GTA style like game? It was like with gangs and cops. It was on Steam. I forgot the name of it. You know what I'm talking about. It was an open world.
Literally at the back of my head. It's literally at the back of my head now. It's going to bug me. Cops and like crooks and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, gangs and stuff. It was I can't think of it. I really can't. I'm pretty sure all you guys know the name and you're like screaming it out right now. Yeah. They launched very poorly. And it was a terrible game. And then they went free to play. It was still terrible. And then they like fixed it and re-released it, and it was amazing. It was great. And I feel like, don't waste the time, don't waste the art and all that hard work that the developers put into it. Don't just like erase it, fix it. Drill down into, the errors, fix the problems, make it fun, and then do a re-release. It's going to make the player base happy. It's going to make them, feel like they can trust 2K and be like, oh, whenever things don't go their way, it's going to just shut it down and delete everything.
Because this kind of creates the notion that these kind of publishers are just these kind of Baron-esque kind of monolithic blocks that are just saying, oh, this is not doing well. Let's just completely slit the throat of this studio and game. Like, let's just, that as an expression, but like, let's just completely pull the rug from this studio. And it keeps everyone on edge, because it's like, there's probably an audience for the game, right? There's probably an audience that want the game to be better. I mean, like, exactly what you were saying, like, people probably want the game to be better. They don't want it to shut down. They want it to be better. But then when the studio's shutting down, it makes them think, you know what, why should I put energy into a game that's not quite there? Because it's probably going to get shut down anyway. Whereas that shouldn't be the narrative. It should be more, okay, the game's not great right now, but let's put some faith in the developer. Let's encourage them. Let's tell them how the game needs to be based on, because we're the gamers at the end of the day. It's on us to kind of say, it should be like this, it should be like that, and kind of tell the developer, because a developer has a vision, but their vision doesn't always gel with what the gamers want. You know what I'm saying? If it does, then that's like a beautiful like synergy, and that's amazing. But sometimes it doesn't, and that's why they have to kind of have open ears and listen to the feedback and say, oh, that's good, you know, let's add that in, let's add that bit in, let's change this, let's change that. Look at No Man's Sky, for example. Look at you know, think about all these other games like Destiny 1 when that launched. Think about how that was and the response that got. Look how they turned that around. Look at Division 1. I remember they dropped, I think it was 1.08 or something, or I can't remember what patch it was. But as soon as they dropped that patch and they added the underground in and all these things in, people came rushing back to the game, to the point that some people play Division 1 over Division 2 even right now, because it's so much more fun. And so the content is more, I don't know, it's got that attachment. Like the attachment is a lot more kind of strong there. So instead of saying, you know, I'm going to cut the rug and just make the sequel, or just not focus on the studio anymore, I agree entirely. We should be encouraging devs. I say we, it's not really us. There is majority of influence comes from the publisher. It's in their control. They can say, you know what, well, we want you to make this game. We want you to make that game. You know, put some more emphasis on this, put some more emphasis on that. But I don't know, there's probably layers to it that are way beyond our understanding. But yes, I hope the studio is able to kind of bounce back from this. But, you know, it's 2K, so we'll see how things pan out, I guess, right?
Certainly. The game I was referring to was APB Reloaded. That was the game that I was thinking of.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that one.
Like, and I have personal experience with this. Like, I didn't buy this new Call of Duty game because I got screwed over in the last one, in Black Ops 4. So, like, I didn't buy this game at launch. Like Black Ops 4, I bought at launch, and all the expansions and all the other nonsense that came with it, and then I got screwed over. Yeah. I really want to play this new Call of Duty, but at the same time, I don't want to put my money into it. So I'd rather just save my money and spend it elsewhere than get screwed over again. Like, people that are just seeing these servers be shut down because the game's a failure, what small player base it has, they're not going to want to buy another 2K game that they get interested in.
It's damaging, isn't it?
It is. So hopefully, I mean, ball's in their court in what they do, but they pretty much just going to go through with this shutdown, apparently. It is what it is. I mean, this is the part that sucks with games as a service. When they shut it down, you lose everything. You lose absolutely everything.
All the money that you put into it. I
feel like with the size of the publisher that they are, they can keep those servers running, you know, without it really harming them. It's not costing them that much money to have those servers run, I don't believe, because apparently the player base isn't that large. They might as well just leave it open. But
it's not a huge load. They're not maintaining having to say. But I don't know, like Call of Duty or something.
I mean, they are a public company, if I'm not mistaken, so they probably have to make the stockholders happy, and the stockholders just see money bleeding, you know, just negative money that's not there. They're going to tell them, just, why are we even have this open? They don't care.
Shut it down, yeah. That's shareholder influence, man. It's just real. It's real in these streets, man.
All right, and the last bit of news we have, Project Scarlet would not focus on VR. Phil Spencer spoke about the variety of factors into why the company is not looking to integrate VR. It costs a lot of money to develop and make a VR headset. And right now, they're not seeing the competitors do the kind of numbers they would be looking for, such as millions and millions. Another being that we're responding to what our customers are asking for, and nobody's asking for VR. While he mentions there may be a possibility for Xbox VR in the future, it is not in the company's current focus. This is good. Like, don't push things on us. I have the Oculus Rift and I love the aspect of VR, but I still have not found that one game. The game for the Xbox was Halo. Like, you got an Xbox, you got Halo. You got the Wii, you got Wii Sports. Like, that was one of the major games. The Switch, I can name like 17 different amazing games that you would want to get with the Switch. PS4 has great single player games. There's not that it game. There's not that game that everyone is playing on VR. And that's what I'm still waiting for. And I'm angry that there isn't. I want there to be a reason to come home and play it, but there isn't. There isn't that amazing MMO yet or an amazing FPS yet. So it kind of sucks.
Yeah, we don't have a systems seller for VR yet. Like I don't look at VR the same way I look at, say, the consoles themselves. You know what I'm saying? You look at the consoles, you think, like exactly the point that you made. You look at Sony's console, you think, man, you can play Horizon Zero Dawn, you can play God of War, you can play Spider-Man, all these great games you can play on the console itself, on your TV screen with your controller in your hand. You know, you don't need VR for that. So, and if I got VR, what am I playing? Playing Iron Man VR? I'm playing
to me, it's almost like demo games, like the demo of the technology. Like when I have friends come over, I'm like, yeah, play this cool game. But there's no real thing to it. It's just like, this is what you can do. It doesn't feel like a real game to me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
It's a tech demo.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like almost a lot of the games are just tech demos. There hasn't been that great game to come out, that must-have game that's going to make you go out and get the VR. Headset. And I was so psyched because one of my favorite movies is oh my God, it's my favorite movie. I can't even think of the name of it. Ready Player One.
I was just going to say it. I was assuming that was it, but yeah.
I love that movie. I've seen it so many times. And that's what I want. I want like that future of gaming. Like you put that, and with the Oculus Quest, we're even closer to that, reality of having that. So for them to not have a great, amazing game yet, it kind of sucks, man. Like I've seen some of the MMOs. It might be like one or two, and they're kind of the graphics are and then the first-person shooters. I mean, I've seen that there's like an esports one that's currently in esports. I don't quite remember the name. It looks all right. It's kind of like Counter-Strike, and that was interesting. But I'm not seeing a huge push behind that either. So it's unfortunate. I really hope that they do find a company to develop a really amazing game that's going to make it, that hit game for VR. But until that happens, VR is going to be in this little area that it's in now. Like, you're not really missing out if you don't have it. And if you have it, you're kind of like, what am I going to do with this?
Yeah, someone made a good point, actually. None of Sony's big hitter studios are making games for VR. Like Sony Santa Monica hasn't made a game for VR. Naughty Dog hasn't made a game for VR. Sucker Punch hasn't made a game for VR. Insomniac hasn't made a game for VR. Right? Like, and I think for Sony, Sony's the only, console manufacturer that's made, that's made a VR headset to go with the console. Like, if they were to say, Naughty Dog is developing this VR game set in the Last of Us universe, for example, now we're talking, right? They need to use their studio power, you know what I'm saying? They've got a lot of studio big hitting kind of power. And I think if Sony show that they can get a big, like, popular studio to make a game in a niche, quote unquote, niche product like VR, like in a VR headset, and have it do well, then I think automatically, like, Xbox is going to think, man, we need to do something in this space. And because originally that's kind of how Xbox came into the console space. They didn't want Sony to just overtake the kind of console market. So, or like kind of take it over completely. Like, so they just introduced with the original Xbox. So it's kind of like that's what we need. We need that kind of, that real defining moment for VR. And I think that responsibility lays with Sony, now that I think of it. Because they have something out, they can do something with it. They've put the R&D into the product. They can just they just need to make the games for it now. And then Xbox will follow suit, I think.
Let Blizzard develop an MMO for VR, and we're done.
My God.
That's all we need. I'll come home every day. I'll lose like 20 pounds, and there'll be like 20,000 people on that thing, man. It'll be crazy. Like, that would be a workout in its own.
Blizzard. Can you imagine if they announce that at BlizzCon? Can you imagine if next year BlizzCon announced?
Oh my God. Or even like a Diablo game, like something using one of their major IPs. There will be people everywhere going on, doing little reviews saying, I lost like 20 pounds playing this Blizzard game. It was amazing. it's going to be great. Like if that were to ever happen, because like, you know, with Oculus Rift, I work up a sweat playing some of these games. I can only imagine such a game like a Blizzard game. Those are like really intense games.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be like if you're raiding and you're doing raids in an MMO, you got to be on point. Like you gotta be fit for that, man. Like as you're leveling, they're prepping you to lose that weight. So when you get to the raids, not only is your gear correct, but your athletic ability is correct.
Right. And can you imagine someone Leroy Jenkins?
That would be hilarious. That would be really funny.
In the VR, goodness gracious! Oh, that would be awesome, man. I'm excited for potentially seeing that in the future. That's gonna be awesome, dude.
Yeah, I've totally been waiting for that.
Tell you, man.
But that wraps that up for today, guys.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
yeah. So yeah, that's all of our news. It's a relatively short show, but some interesting little tidbits in there. But definitely do try and check us out once a week, because that's how often we try and do this stuff. So we might not be Jason and I every single week. It's going to be different hosts, but they're all equally as amazing and beautiful and just magnifique. So yeah, just check us out once a week and you might like what you find. Support us on Patreon. The link was said earlier. It's patreon.com/ambassadors of gaming. And yeah, I've been Ambassador Billy.
And I'm Ambassador Jason.
Take care.
See you guys.